Hello everyone, Mythic here, and welcome back to another Lucium Total War Update video. Last episode we learned about the beautiful map changes that are coming to you in Lucium 3.0, but this episode we have something just a little bit different, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy it, so I'm not going to prevaricate, we're going to go straight into this. Okay, you know, pretty normal, yeah, nothing different. BOOM! New menu. Yeah, new menu. Thanks to our beautiful scripter slash whatever we want him to do slash paid slave, unpaid slave, of course, yeah. Rennet was able to make us this beautiful new menu. And real quick, I do just want to get out of the way. This is going to be done in a more high definition version because I feel like somebody's going to mention that this is just really blurry and unreadable. That's going to be done better before 3.0 actually releases. But welcome to our new menu. And now some of you might be asking, hey, Mythic, Lucium dev team guy, dev team number 2 man, why'd you have to change the menu? Well, why did we have to change the menu? Oh yeah, because we're adding 5 new factions. Oh yeah, and they're all gonna go along here, except for the Khalid, who are right here. Smack dab in almost the center. But the Barbary States, Kazakh Khanate, Wallachia, Moldavia, and most importantly, the Barbary States! Holy crap. I am so excited for the Barbary States, and you should be too after you see these boats. We have done a complete naval overhaul, and ships are going to be getting some new features that you will all see in later update videos. Now, as you know, we have a beautiful new faction to show off to all of you guys, so let's take a look at the Khalidi Emirate. Please ignore the fact that they are pretty much still the British, but you know, that doesn't matter. We still got their Royal Sabre Warriors, you know, isolated starting position, bad technology close to the Ottomans and the Persians, and we have a custom Khalidi Emirate description written by one of our amazing mod contributors, Freelance7. He has been a great help in making unit descriptions and a pretty good faction description, if I might say so myself. So let's hop into the campaign and take a look at their position. Welcome everyone to the campaign map and our beautiful Khalidi Emirate. Now, the Khalidi Emirate will not be a campaign for the faint of heart. It is going to be hard. While the desert may be vast and encompassing, it will not protect you from foreign influence for long. Persians, the Ottoman Iraqi state, and the Ottomans themselves will try to take you over, so a player is going to need to be adept, skilled, and always vigilant. Now, you'll notice that they start off with 2 cities. These cities are they're not going to be villages in the actual campaign, we just haven't redone them yet. And I will say, despite the fact that there's a lot of territory already taken up by these 2 cities, there are more cities added in Arabia, so Arabia shall hopefully be more of a battleground experience fought over between 3 major players, or 4 even if you count the Ottoman Iraqis. And so it is going to be a pretty interesting scenario. Now, we have added the roster for these guys, and we're going to check that out in a second, but there's something we all think you should see. Now, we've been talking about this naval overhaul for a while now, but we haven't really shown you guys any beautiful ships yet, so that's what I intend to do. So starting with the Middle Eastern factions, you of course have your beautiful naval base, and these are sneak peeks of what the buildings with their own, you know, borders will look like. There is a poll in the Lucium server right now. If you want to vote on the future of our building pictures, it's pretty much decided by now, so I don't know why I'm saying it. But if you want to be a part of future polls, join the Lucium server in the description of this video. Anyway, back to our ships. We have added an extra 3 to 4 ships, depending on the faction culture, to the nations, and for different culture groups. So, for the Middle Eastern, you will have your light galleys being a basic ship. Continuing on, you will have a Zebek being a mid-tier ship. Continuing even more on, you will have your first rates, ship of the lines, and your steam ships. And then finally, you will have your beautiful ironclads. Now, of course, the European ships are going to be a little different. Starting off with the Southern Europeans, they will start off with a basic level sloop, which is a little worse than the galley. Moving on, we are going to take a look at the frigate and the Southern European specific ship, the galleon. Continuing onwards from this, you will have your first rate and steamship, and then it will continue on to ironclad, just like you saw in the Middle Eastern roster. Northern Europe will also pretty much be the same, except for one different, which will be the Northern European specific ship, the Flute, which was a Dutch vessel, and more of a trading ship, but can be retrofitted for war. Also, if you want to know what these look like in the campaign map, you can take a look at your beautiful British Navy, which will pretty much show you the scale. Welcome to our favorite unit showcase map, Arsif. And I feel like I don't have to say this before anyone mentions it. Obviously, these are not going to be stuck as the Roman plebeian model. We're going to get our lovely graphic designers, also known as Hazmufasa and Frozen Stag, to be doing the unit cards and the unit info cards pretty soon, so don't worry about that. It'll all be handled. Now, I want to speak a little bit about the state of unit rosters in 3.0 and how they're going to be. So, for 3.0, we really wanted to diversify, but also historically match the unit rosters, because historical accuracy has been a big and major issue in Lucium Total War. So we really tried to do some historical accuracy while at the same time making the rosters fun, engaging, and diverse. So these are starting the Idran army reforms, as I like to put them, which is, it's just a little ego booster for myself. But we are going to be completely reworking most of the Middle Eastern rosters, and we're going to be adding a new unit at least to every single faction. However, most factions will see about 2 to 3 new units depending on regional mercenaries, because there's also going to be a complete mercenary overhaul. So you will all see that as updates come, but interesting trivia fact, as it stands, the Khalidi Emirate roster is the largest Middle Eastern roster in Lucium right now. So let's take a look at it. So of course we're starting off with our basic Arab Home Guard militia. There's not much to say about them, but onto our Bedouin swordsmen. So at this time during Arabia and North Africa in general, the Bedouins were a prevalent people group, and they still are to this day. We saw necessary to add some Bedouin representation into here. Continuing on from the Bedouins, we have the Bashi Bazooks, my favorite unit. I'm so glad you boy added them. It was the best decision I've ever made. Continuing on to that, we have an elite Royal Saber Guard for the Khalid Emirate. These guys are looking fancy. And then continuing on from that, we have Roaming Huntsman, which is a standard unit. Persia has it in 2.5. But we also now have Bedouin Archers, which is basically just the archer variant of the Bedouin Swordsman. Moving on, we're going to see our Arabian Musketeers. Nothing to say about them, really. And we have our Bedouin Throwers. So Bedouins historically were less focused on straight-up engagements and more ambush tactics and guerrilla warfare that you would expect from a tribal group. So here you can see they are throwers, because javelin. And they're the only unit to have javelins so far. Will it be a mistake? Find out next time. Continuing on, we have our African Gunners. Again, these have been in the game for a while. And we have our Islamic Fusiliers, which are also in 2.6, so not much to say about them. To a new unit, though, we have the Khalidi Royal Guard, and these guys are looking fancy in their scaled clothing, their nice turbans, and their really sick rifles. This is going to be the highest tier of Khalid Riflemen, and they look fancy. And you also have Muslim Grenadiers, already in Lucium. And we have our Bedouin Light Cavalry. A little more Bedouin stuff. Continuing on, we have the Hijaz Cavalry. It's just a very standard light cavalry unit. Moving on from them, we have the Arabian Royal Cavalry. Again, a very standard cavalry unit. Then we have the Khalid Staff Cavalry. They look the same as the Royal Cavalry, so nothing to mention. And we have our Camel Dragoons, which are also already in the game. Nothing to mention. And then we have Standard Cannon, followed up by Advanced Cannon. These guys, as you can see, do not have their textures yet. Don't worry about that. That'll be fixed. And now there's one last thing I need to talk to you guys about before I would like to quickly give everyone a rundown of the new factions and what they are going to be doing and their purpose inside of 3.0. Starting off with the Far Eastern, we're going to be talking about the Kazakhs. So the Kazakh Khanate was a massive Kazakh Khanate, which spanned about 3 centuries in the East. They didn't do all that much of importance in this time period, however, it gives a different kind of play style, especially around the eastern parts of the map, so Russia and Persia are going to have some land to fight over, and it could be a very interesting campaign from anyone who decides to take up the mantle as the Great Khan. And moving into Mesopotamia, we are going to be talking about the Ottoman state of Iraq. So during this time period, the Ottomans actually controlled Iraq, but we didn't see a way that we could really give them Iraq without making the Ottomans way too strong, and trust me, the Ottomans already are very strong. So we decided we are going to make a tributary system, and I don't know how at liberty I am to speak about the tributary system, but it's effectively going to be for those areas that we didn't want to actually give full control of the Ottomans to try to balance them out a bit. But the Ottoman state of Iraq will be one of those tributaries. It is going to be something of contention over the Great Persian Empire and the Great Ottoman Empire, as they will vie for control over this rich and fertile territory. You've already seen me talk about the Khalidi, so there's not much to say other than they will be an interesting player in Arabian and Middle Eastern politics in general. Coming up to the Balkans, we're going to be talking about Wallachia, Moldavia. Wallachia, Moldavia is also going to be an Ottoman tributary. It is going to be in the Balkans. Wow, who could have guessed? Wallachia in the Balkans? Bro, crazy. Anyway, moving on. They are pretty much just an Ottoman tributary state. It's going to be vied over by Austria, Russia, Poland, and, of course, the Ottomans. And we shall see who comes out on top in this region. Now, we had a lot of people mention in the past that there was a massive Hungarian uprising, and turns out it was a pretty big deal. A lot of people died. So, we figured it would be best to represent this by having a Hungarian Splinter Cell faction rise up pretty early in the game. So, Austrian players, watch out. And now moving on to my personal favorite. I don't know anyone in the mod team that isn't excited for the Barbary States. If you're not excited for the Barbary States, you're dumb. That's true. The Barbary States, mwah. Anyway, the Barbary States, they were a series of Corsair states set up by the Ottomans to pretty much raid Christians and be awesome. And so that's what they're going to be. They've got custom ships, they've got a completely unique roster with a few shared units, and they're going to be fun to play as we're going to be adding the tributary mechanic and a few other pirating mechanics. Anyway guys, that about wraps it up for this video, this Lucium Total War update video. We thank you all for your continued support, and as you saw recently, our 1-year anniversary has come, so thank you all for supporting us over the course of a year, and almost 2 years we've been doing this development, so we also want to thank you for that. It means a lot to us. Remember to join our Discord, subscribe to the Mythic YouTube channel, subscribe to the Lucium official YouTube channel. Mythic out.